All right. And what I didn't prepare was not anticipating that, but hold on, give me one quick second. Sorry about that. That's very unprofessional. But we don't have our regulars here. So, anyways, so greetings and salutations, Focus Up family. Welcome to the October 2024 installment of the Focus Up Show. We thank you for tuning in with us live every Saturday at 9 a.m. on YouTube and various other platforms, or catching up with us on replay. And we ask that you click that like, that subscribe, that bell, and share to support and maintain your weekly Focus Up fix. I am Mr. Nice Guy, nice as in the word saint spelled backwards, and my co-hosts today are the lovely First Lady J rocking afro. That's what's up. We got Student X, our resident information minister of information, and we got Afro Agnostics. What's going on with you? First of all, First Lady J, what's up with you, sister?
Talking about work, trying to get that money. Scared money can't make money. So I have a lot of events that I'm hosting this weekend. You know, got to stay fed, bills got to stay paid. Just
That,
several events today. That's all.
that's what's up. And let me first say that we're down a few soldiers today. We don't have the brothers Johnson, so we don't have Floyd X, and we don't have Walk, but we also don't have but we don't have El Poo as well. El Poo's take care of some business, so that's why we're not gonna have spin that back as well. But we'll do it out. We'll push through and represent for the crew. So that said, welcome to the show again, brother Afro Agnostics, a regular friend of the show. How you doing out there? And you're in Detroit, right?
In the building. Well, not actually. I'm in Georgia right now,
Oh,
and I
wow.
just landed a job. And for the first time in my life, I live 7 minutes away from my job, and I'm just
Oh man,
that's
amazing.
the bomb right there. And but thanks for inviting me again. And the consistency, that's what's important. The show is whoever can't make it, they can't, but the
Yeah,
show
that's
must
right.
go on.
We keep
Yeah.
it going. We've been keeping it going. There's no breaks, no reruns. So you actually are living in Georgia, or just happen to be present
Oh,
in
no,
Georgia?
I'm living in Georgia.
Oh man,
Yeah,
please
I'm
vote.
living in.
Please vote. Thank you for
I
your
know, man.
service.
I know.
Student X, what's going on with you, my brother?
Oh, brother, another good week, and yeah, just enjoying being on the show as always, and seeing the fam. So yeah, let's talk about it.
All right, so let's get to the get. First thing, we're not gonna be getting into the news type stuff. Like I said, we're a little bit different today, but we're gonna talk about brother Big Meech. Big Meech coming home, and he was just released, I guess, into the halfway house pretty recently. So that's a big step. But one of the reasons why I want to discuss this is that in the Black community we embrace these figures that some could see pretty controversial, and we may heap high praise on these people. And it's a definite argument that you can make about how these people shouldn't be praised how they're praised. But me, I tend to look on the positivity. I think about looking about going from here forward. I think that when you take a person who has great influence and maybe even great still resources, if you tuck them away, that's a person has great power to do positive things going forward. So I'm always going to be looking forward to what you can do now as opposed to what you did back then. So again, I'm a person that says salute Big Meech, welcome on the path to getting home, and we'll see how that plays out. You got some type of take on that, First Lady J?
Well, I'm gonna have to piggyback off of you. It's just like a sinner getting saved and becoming just full throttle with their religion and no longer sinning. So everybody has a chance of being rehabilitated. And I say welcome home as well. Everyone deserves a second chance. If you don't learn from your mistakes, then that's on you. Like I can say the preachers weren't always saved. So they're a prime example, and I feel the same way about the drug dealers.
Uh, Mr. Afro Agnostics, you got a particular take on this?
Well, I'm from Detroit. I haven't yet to watch the show, but I just, I want to say some Big Meech, Larry Hoover, getting work. Hallelujah. But like the song, there's a lot of songs commemorating him. And he's, been glorified in the TV series that 50 Cent put out, documentaries. There's books out on the BMF, and I think there's, like you said, it's that drug dealer off the street. It's just that simple aberration for a black man who has some money, has some extravagance, has some power, seemingly power, and it's just kind of overblown. So initially, when you framed it this way, I did question that, like, what is it to root for? And to me, it's a distraction. I'm rooting for the release of Mumia Abu Jamal. I'm rooting for the release of Sada Shakur. She can come out of exile. For Jalil Alameen, real political
brother.
And I think that status of like, nah, bro, you're not a political prisoner. Selling drugs for 20 years, man. I don't see any redemption on him doing anything any differently. He had 20 years opportunity to do something if he did plan to do. And I have read nothing about any of his involvement in social civic activities or anything like that.
Brother Student X, what's your take on this?
Oh, bro, I love what Brother Afro, just dropped on us, because I'm a big political prisoners type of dude. I never been one of those guys that has ever been like starstruck. You know what I mean? I don't care if it's athlete, musician. I just never was that type of dude, and so I definitely don't look at rappers in most cases as being a role model. Especially when they come from infamy. But I do hope the brother, he sounds like he's getting another chance. I hope he comes out, makes some amends and positive contributions to the community. That would be wonderful. But again, like Brother Afro, where you would see me celebrating is that we did see, some of our brothers and sisters be released, who are political prisoners. And I got to tell you, I was more excited about Julian Assange release than I am about, Big Meech, straight up, so, that's where I'm at. But yeah, I hope the brother, again, does make some amends, and does some wonderful things with whatever influence and power he still has left.
Brother Walk, welcome to the show, brother.
Hey, what's up, everybody? How y'all doing?
What's good, Walk? Yeah. And so we're talking about Big Meech coming home. What's your take on that? What's your take on Big Meech and the Black community embracing this brother coming home?
This been going on for years and centuries. It's even like with Billy the Kid. He was doing a lot of crime and stuff like that, but was still respected and revered for doing that, holding up Jesse James as well, holding up trains, and when they died, it was like, oh man, But with Big Meech, we've been hearing his name so long. I don't really know too much about him as well, but this goes to a topic that we spoke on years ago. Why are like thugs and gang members celebrated for even though they did bring a lot of harm to the community? So with him, I just hope the brother get out and do some good. We know he got a lot of kids. He got the show he doing that was on Stars. I never watched it myself, but that's just what is celebrated. Thugs is celebrated in the street. Thug Mansion, Tupac.
Hey, great take, brother. And I want to put this post on here because a lot of celebrities have sort of like chimed in on Big Meech's release. And you have LeBron talking about welcome home, Big Meech. And then you got this person basically saying, welcome home to a killer of kids through drugs and, blah, 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 and all of this stuff. And, that's a legitimate take. But to me, this is the way that I feel about when people celebrate President's Day. When you celebrate George Washington, you celebrate Thomas Jefferson, these slave masters, you know what I'm saying? These people that did all these things, a black person was good enough to sleep with and have children with, but not enough to protect or give, equal rights to. So I'm just saying that, you kind of pick and choose and cherry pick, the people that you have problems with. But I mean, at the end of the day, a person is a person, and I'm all about a redemption story. I'm all about a second chance, and, we'll see how it plays out from here. But, a lot of those celebrities, they celebrated him because, he was a big player back in those days. Mm-hmm. He had a lot of influence in hip hop, a lot of promotion, a lot of things. So he was actually a person that ran in business circles that they did. So it wasn't just like a Diddy party. It was part of business. But, that having been said. Go
Just
ahead.
a small little, not really a counter, but we do celebrate real redemption story. You know, Tukey Williams, we celebrate Larry Hoover. Larry Hoover would have been someone that I would have celebrated because of his work, you know, outside of you know, the gang activity. He's been, you know, he's I
Outside of the
consider Larry
murders.
Hoover a political prisoner. You know, Malcolm X himself, you know, he had a turnaround, a prodigal child type, prodigal son type of story. So, but I don't view Big Meech like that. He hasn't. If he does something like that and does become active in the community, then I would support him.
The last thing I would add, just real briefly, is, you know, I don't know anyone who really celebrates, you know, President Days. I mean, we're happy for the day off. You know what I mean? You know, so you know, but in terms of actually celebrating, maybe like some older, you know, white folks. You know what I mean? But I never really saw that. You know what I mean? But you know, again, like I said, I just echo what everyone else says. You know, is that, you know, hopefully the brother does some good. You know, but and also speaking of, I mean, you brought him up, Diddy. You know, when you see like a LeBron James go out his way to welcome back Big Meech, and again, he's without, you know, that transformation that we're talking about when it comes to Larry Hoover and whatnot, that's happened before his release. You know, it makes you wonder about this tie into, you know, our elites, if you will, within our society, with drugs, crime, you know, the whole 9 yards. You know what I mean? So that was real peculiar to me, to be honest with you. You know, so.
Well, let me say this, not to be going off Vlad interview on my brother Walk, but, you know, he might have done some things. He might have went away, but I'm going to celebrate him coming back. I mean, the bottom line is if I mess with him, I mess with him. So, you know, it's not a cosign to his activity or things that he did. I mean, he's just someone that I may have personally known and had good interactions with, but also understood he was a person doing things in the streets. Because I'm just saying that, you know, a lot of us probably still have friends that either weren't in the streets or maybe still in the streets, but that doesn't stop us from being their friend. That doesn't mean that we don't co-sign what they do. It's just, you know, that being, you know, a person being your partner is different than a person being someone that you look up to or that you necessarily think is doing positive things in the world. You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
So I think we've exhausted that. Let's speak on to this Harris Charlamagne the God interview. Now, everybody may not seen the interview. You know, I know that Student X had some interesting takes on. Well, actually, I think your takes were probably more on the Bret Baier. I apologize about that.
Well, yeah. When we talked earlier in the week, for sure, that's what we were talking about. That specific, interview. But going back to this one, right here, man, it's just the one thing that frustrates me with these Democrats is they seem to say the wrong things, to black men when they're addressing us, and I'm telling you right now, like all the black men I know who are gravitating towards Trump are already committed to voting for him. Weed and marijuana is not the issue or the focus, that was on their mind. And so, that's what, she led off with, her appeal to black men. We're bringing this, a rescheduling up, which has not happened underneath her and Biden's administration, which is not a surprise based on both of their positions in the past, but the rhetoric and excuses that they offer in regards to that, were just ridiculous to me because, there are way more urgent and sophisticated challenges like World War III in the economy. If you can't even get marijuana rescheduled, I mean, where are you really qualified to deal with? And then, and then reparations.
That's a great point. Allow me to retort. I think that strategically why, and again, I'm not in her head, but I think that strategically why she led off with that. A lot of the perception of her that as far as putting black men in prison, a lot of the negativity that that's been out there has actually been central to that issue. A lot of the criticisms were about she was putting people in jail behind marijuana. And she's done a lot of work to say that actually my policies were not about jailing people in marijuana. I was about decriminalizing it, or at least not making it, not putting it on the level of this other stuff, but I mean, she was putting it out there. So and then she's talking about going forward. I think that was to counter the first criticism. So I don't think it was an issue saying that, hey, the way to appeal to black men is to talk about marijuana. It's just like, look, this is the first thing that you got on my credit. This is the first knock on you, me as a prosecutor, putting people in jail for. So let me tell you about what my position on this and what I'm doing about this. So that's how I would view that based in that context.
Yeah, the real issue though is, I would say, her being a prosecutor. Since when the black men in particular, appreciate prosecutors in our community, when oftentimes, they most definitely was not focused on fairness and equity, but more focused on their conviction rates, and getting plea bargains. You know what I mean? So, if that was her attempt, and that, again, doing the wrong thing, wrong time. If she's really trying to appeal to black men who are going to vote and who, again, are leaning towards Trump, then that is not the issue that's a hot button for us at all.
Hey, brother, go ahead.
I totally agree with Student X on this, because it was kind of like, oh, I know y'all like to smoke weed, so let me talk about weed with y'all, and I'm going to talk about other stuff that's important, like the economy, inflation, to the other people. But to us, if we talking to the black folks, y'all want to smoke weed like Snoop Dogg. But I don't even smoke weed. A lot of people don't smoke weed, and that's not even an issue that nobody is thinking about. Now, and I know you interpreted what she probably was thinking or saying, but that ain't even necessary either, Mr. Nice Guy, because we got what we got from it when we heard it. So whether she was thinking that or not, it don't even matter.
Well, see, and I agree. I think that a big part of it is that a lot of people have already made their mind. They're going to interpret everything she does in a negative light. Pretty much a lot of things that people accuse, I guess, liberals or Democrats or whatever, how they look at Trump, they just look at it, everything he does in a negative light, whether it's actually, objectively negative or not. So I do think that there's going to be a contingency of black men that are just going to twist what she says in the absolute worst way, whether it was intended or not. You know what I'm saying? So but on that said, First Lady J, I'm just talking about when you hear stuff like, I'll say this, First Lady J, I got a question for you, but let me frame it like this. Me and Walk, I don't know if Walk is still part of this Facebook group, but we're part of this Facebook group called the Barbershop. And you got, it's primarily like New York based, but I mean, there's a lot of people all over the country, Chicago and the South. And trust me, there's a whole lot of battles and back and forth. Some of the banter is intelligence. A lot of it is not. A lot of it's sports related. Sometimes it's political, a lot of bots. But, that having been said, the person who is the creator of it, he put out a comment. He goes, look, regardless of your politics, he says, I just don't understand. How are you guys okay with the way that he talks about this system? And I'm like, this is a point that particularly resonated with me, because I'm just like, look, it's one thing to talk about your policies. It's one thing to talk about that. But this is a dude who's particularly nasty, and he's attacking her blackness, attacking her intelligence. I mean, and it's a white man doing it. I'm just saying that the whole context of it strikes me kind of messed up. So I still would say, First Lady J, do you feel any particular way about the energy that he has, like the energy that he had versus Biden?
I do. I when I look at him, I just look at a racist person, and I feel like he has something against women. I also feel like he has something against blacks, and that is one of the things that bother me about our black man. I say this all the time: if don't nobody else protect us, who else is going to protect us? And when I see this, I feel like our black men fit in the category with the other races. It makes me feel like they're not for us, even though a lot of people feel like she's not black. To my even if she wasn't black, you see the racism in Trump. You see all the things he has done and he has said. What makes his race so much better? I get so sick of hearing that she's not black. What nationality is she? We all have a little something in us, but at the end of the day, we know that we are black. And I have a problem with that. That's I can't say that's the biggest problem, but that is one of the main problems that I have is the way he degrade her as a woman and her color and the fact that so many of our black men are supportive. It's interesting how you guys were just saying how she prosecute the black men about drugs, this, and that, and against, but you were just talking about Meech with the drug situation. So, hello, somebody.
Hold on, here we go. That was my point. I'm gonna let you speak, Afro agnostics, but I just want to accentuate the point that you made. That look, you say what black man support a prosecutor? Me. I support prosecuting crime. I don't identify with criminality or criminals. I think they are a negative impact on humanity. So yes, I absolutely am for prosecution of criminals doing actual criminal bad things. But brother, Afro agnostics, you got any particular take on this stuff?
Yeah, I don't really kind of like know where to begin, but I
take your time, brother. The floor. Okay. Hey, check this out, brother. The floor is yours.
Okay. The interview was clearly they were going after the black vote and perhaps specifically the black male vote, trying to kind of clean up for Obama what the statements he made in regards to black people. And I think those statements were very patronizing, very treating us as men, and we're the second least supporters of Trump. So why this, this whole discussion being floated around in the media about black men? Black women support Trump the least, and second from that are black men. We need to talk, and I saw during the interview, specific people ask her specific questions about what are you going to do for black people? She never addressed it. It was always, I'm going to do this and this, and it's going to help everybody. But we see specific criticisms being targeted towards black people by Obama, who she supports, and she supports these things as well because, Obama is parroting her values and everything. So I find that, very, very problematic. You need to talk about white women as a group. You need to talk about the growing Hispanic support for Trump as a group. Why target us as a group for criticism, but you have nothing to say to target us as far as redistribution of wealth and reparations and things like that? Small business loans and homeowners assistance for everybody. That's a horizontal issue. We're talking about black people. That's a vertical issue. She had nothing to say about that. But to her support, I agree. A lot of black men are attacking her just because she's a woman. Just because she doesn't fit the normality for black people, or the central tendency. But black people are, not a monolith. You have variation. You have a range of blackness. That should not be the focus of our criticism of Kamala. There are progressive prosecutors. I can't say that she was one, but just because she's a prosecutor back in the past, as Big Meech was a drug dealer back in the past. She have to say now, but unfortunately, I can't support her because she's not saying anything now to address black people. And real quick, in the show, you notice I didn't do a count, but you mentioned black men several times. No mention of black women, so it kind of shows you who they were targeting and trying to appeal to in that whole discussion, that softball interview that Charlamagne facilitated.
Brother, I want to, if I can, just, have some comments of some of what I heard, so far, and that is, again, everyone knows I'm the men's advocate, for sure. And being a men's advocate is, does not mean that we put our sisters down and don't even actually lift them, up, and having that position. In fact, being a men's advocate, I'm more focused on the accountability of men, and what's responsible going on in our environment, which includes the safety and security of our women and children, But again, when, I hear people bring up Trump and race, I feel like there's a lot of race baiting that goes on when it comes to Trump. The thing about Trump is he has an equal opportunity approach when it comes to his criticism of whomever, black, white, man, women, so there's no racism, that I've ever observed and seen in his attacks, if you will, his name calling. That's definitely, something that he does, but just getting back to that point is, I see within our community, within the culture of our community, obviously it's not everyone, but I see us treat each other much worse and talk to each other much worse than Trump ever has. You know what I mean? So we need, before we start pointing our fingers and whatnot at this, we really need to be more introspective and look at the different challenges we have in our own community. And then, the other thing that I want to note before we even get into talking about, another big thing that Kamala talked about during this particular interview, which was reparations and lack thereof, was that, Trump, before he became president, and got involved in politics, he was never viewed as a racist outside of some who want to frame what was going on in New York at the time with the five brothers and whatnot, and that great case that was going on. But Trump, man, if you look at bars, man, so many rappers from back in the day, man, you know how many times Trump name was brought up? He was kicking it, with all different sort of, black celebrities on the regular and whatnot. It was never even an issue, but, and the last point I want to make is I don't know one black man, period, at all, or anyone, period, that's attacking Kamala based solely on her being a woman. Not one. You know what I mean? Not one, bro. That's like, we'll get into her policies, positions, the fact that, we don't believe that she's a strong leader, the fact of, the Democrats' position of supporting men and women's sports. I mean, man, we could go on all day. Her being a woman doesn't have nothing to do with anything.
You're not going to get a horn, student X. I'm clapping for you, brother.
I mean, I would take an issue with, first of all, I saw Brother Afro Agnostics. He was talking about the racial thing. I don't know if you want to make a comment about that before, or you want. I was gonna make a comment on it, but
the racist. I mean,
yeah.
Okay, I think we have this old, I don't know, Southern narrow view of what makes someone a racist. Okay, just for the record, all white people are racist. Every single one of them are racist. If they take the Harvard implicit bias test, it's going to register, and it shows when white people take it, they have biases. Everyone has biases. They have biases and favoritism. They have preferences for them and themselves. It comes out, they're not even in control of it. It comes out unconsciously. I think you're looking at personal racism, like does someone use the N-word? Do they shun white people? Shun other persons. But there's institutional racism, and Trump has played a tremendous role in institutional racism, even in his own housing or real estate ventures. He's been sued several times for discrimination. I mean, he's one of your run-of-the-mill regular racist. There's no big. Is he virulent with it? Is he very explicit with it? No, maybe not. But when overwhelming majority of black people say someone is racist, there's a good probability and chance that they're racist, because black people have experienced racism to the point to where they can see and identify it better than anyone else, in the same way that a disabled person can identify when people discriminate against people who are disabled. They are able. We're the litmus test. We're the racist detectors. We know these things. And Trump is just a run-of-the-mill racist, of course. I mean, neo-Nazis support him. The KKK support him. Of course he's racist. Of course he appeals to right-wing evangelicals. That should be no doubt in our hand. We should not even be giving him the credit of not being so. Yeah, he's racist, just like Biden.
Yeah. There's not, everyone has a bias towards self and kind, that doesn't make someone racist. What makes someone racist, again, is when they have power in their practice. There are plenty, as a business person, if I haven't rented out property, but, if I did rent out property, I would absolutely, be, focus on looking at, the application carefully to select and choose who I would have in my establishment. And a lot of times people make charges against someone when it's unfounded. It's easy to say that, okay, someone didn't let me get this apartment because I was black. It's easy to go ahead and file that lawsuit and whatnot, but does it have, merit? I think a lot of us, we need to grow up when it comes to this so-called racism. We have no excuses why we can't succeed and move forward, and if someone has like a view on us, usually what happens is they're going to look at our character and see how we're presenting ourselves, and then, if that's something that's acceptable to them, then, it's not a problem.
It's not a view. is intertwined with the view, but it's a way of systematically hoarding wealth and power. That's what racism is. So I mean, it's something that's harmful, that causes social harm. Trump perpetuates it. I mean, just recently he said that he would defund schools that taught slavery, and that United States was based around stolen land and stolen labor. Facts.
Yeah, I believe that, because when you look at the DEI, and I wish we had the brother Brother Nice invited on. When you look at that policy, it is intertwined also with the LGBTQ agenda, and so, when you see a lot of, whites and others that push back against the DEI portion of the education, they know it has that tie-in as well, and also, I get it, a lot of those white folks absolutely don't want to go back in time and talk about, some of the injustices that they did and visit upon us. I get it, but, again, if we're more focused on educating our own children, and teaching our own children and building strong families, we wouldn't need to rely on the educational institution to do that for us.
I don't think it's about relying. Go ahead, First Lady Jane.
Okay.
If there's no racism in Trump, now what does it mean to have a black job in America?
Well, I think when he talks about having, black jobs, so-called black jobs, when he's addressing that particular demographic, and not just solely just all black people, but we're talking about, a labor that, does not necessarily have college degrees. We're talking about some of that labor, unskilled labor is what it's called. And the Talented 10th, talked about this, our platform as well. And we're dealing with, black folks, is that you need to create jobs for people, who again don't have those college degree and that unskilled labor force. And so I think that's what he's addressing.
You're defining unskilled labor force. That sounds worse.
You say again?
I'm lost. I'm like, where are we right now? Where are we right now? I mean, are we defending? Look, I'm saying Trump is a dumb racist. Biden is an intelligent racist. I mean, in the story, I don't get it. What's going on here?
And
and like I said, with me, I just don't get caught up on so-called racism. It doesn't have an impact, in my life at all. As a brother, it doesn't have to have it on any of us. The way to deal with, so-called racism is through black excellence. And if you display that and you're engaged in that, then it becomes less of even a factor in our lives.
That's absolutely not true. But I don't know.
It's been my experience. It's been my experience.
You noticed something? We was talking about Kamala in the Charlamagne interview with Bret, and here we go talking about Trump, because she has no substance. She's saying the same thing over and over. This is where this is going. Whenever I'm talking to anybody about Kamala Harris, it ends up talking about Trump, just like we just did on the show.
Every single time.
Yep.
And what is he doing?
But I think it's vice versa too. And I don't support none of the above, but it's vice versa too as well.
It's every single thing. He's literally putting everything that Biden did. Biden's the top of the ticket, the president. He's basically everything is what Kamala did. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just saying that Kamala is in his mouth just like she is, because they're competing against each other. There's an election coming up, so that's literally what this whole campaign is about. So I think there is a disingenuine argument to make, because you're literally saying my attack, this how I deal with this how that person deals with it. That's literally what this whole campaign is about.
The topic we were dealing with was, again, Kamala interview with Charlamagne the God, and now it's transcended into talking about Trump. He's a racist. All white people are racist. We're not even on that topic anymore. There's more that Kamala said. Like I said, just with the reparations alone, she came out, and once again, even a lot of black men who lean towards Trump, because the whole thing is trying to, the Democrats, what they're focused on is getting more black men to A, vote, and B, vote for them, without doubt. And so again, people who lean towards Trump, reparations is not really even a big issue, for them. We're not focused on that. More of your people who are on are dealing with more race, things of that nature, where it's like, identity politics, that's a larger issue for them, and for me, like my position, I'm for reparations, but I'm for reparations for all and uniting the working class of all races, classes, and creed to get what has been stolen for the people. Because when you study slavery and when you study injustice, Black people don't hold a monopoly on that. You know what I mean? There's all sorts of people here in America and abroad that's been ill impacted, by class, not race, in particular. So when Kamala says that reparations needs to more study, I agree with her, but not in the way that she's saying it. The context she was using was a push it aside, have a word salad, to talk about everything else, but in that particular position. But I think, reparations should definitely, be studied. And that we as a Black people, I believe that if we just focus on reparations just for us, it'll never happen. It hasn't happened yet. It'll never happen. But our best chance to get repaired is to form a national global unity of workers to force governments and transnational companies to be held accountable. And really the only person who I see that really is promoting this, understands it, and gets it is actually another gentleman running for president, Dr. Shiva, who had a real epic dialogue with Sabi Sabs this past week, that subject, came up, so that's where I stand. But yeah, when she talked about reparations, what do you all think about that? Were her comments, on point? Did you agree with her?
Well, I would say that first of all,
absolutely not. She dodged the issue, reduced the issue, and made it a horizontal issue, something that she took the question about reparations and reduced it to small business loans and assistance with first home buyers. But I just want to give a certain perspective and just to kind of put it out there to the listening audience. I was active in an organization for maybe 15, 20 years called the Malcolm X Grassroots Movement. And that organization comes out of the New African Independence Movement. And in that organization, our ideology and our approach, we viewed our situation, I say our situation as Black people, we then disconnected from the situation of other colonialized people throughout the world. So even the term racism is a misnomer. Racism is simply a tool of national oppression. So we are oppressed. We suffer from national oppression. And you look around the world historically, what has been the basic tool that people have used to decolonialize themselves from under these different European empires? It has been nationalism. So Black nationalism is the method, is the social force, not classism. When not the class approach, you want to include that in our approach. We want to be socialists in our approach, definitely. But as Ho Chi Minh said, oppression of a nation is actually a class in itself. A nation is a class.
Right,
so it sounds like we have similar views in terms of seeing that reparations is bigger than just for Black people in general. You know what I mean? Is that fair to say? The United States has a lot of oppressed nations and a lot of other people who are deserving of reparations too. The Native Americans, the Chicanos, but Black people, we have a specific claim for a specific cause.
So yeah, and I agree with you about the whole reparations thing. First of all, I want to point out that was a question presented to her, as opposed to a topic that she brought up, and she definitely did sidestep it. And like you said, she took the first thing she talked about with Charlamagne, like, why do you always go into this? I'm a middle age and all this other stuff. She goes, I'm trying to, it's discipline. I'm trying to redirect the narrative because a lot of people have this kind of concept of me, so I'm trying to reinforce that. So it's obviously a tactic. It's not a person just being dumb. It's and I'm not saying I agree with it. I'm just saying that I understand the strategy of it. I've always said that, to me, that reparations is a losing argument. If you're trying to be a president of everybody, I'm just saying that that's not going to be something that's going to necessarily do well on the big scale of it. So I'm just saying that the fact that she did what she did, I get it.
But I think it's important. I have to kind of agree with Stu. We have to raise the contradictions though, because you do earmark specific money for specific groups in specific countries. Israel, as the big example, you give billions of dollars to Israel every year. It ain't for everybody. It's for Israel exclusively and only. And they're not even citizens of the country.
I would say HBCUs would be something that's kind of distinguished, particularly for predominantly Black people. So when you pour a lot of money into that is basically something that lines up with what you're talking about.
Yeah, but see, and again, we got to kind of look at the history of it too. HBCUs, they come out of the Freedmen's Bureau, and they came out of a watering down of the original bureau, which was to give 40 acres and a mule, which was to give land to Black people. So education became a substitute for land. And education is cool, but I was a part of the National Coalition of Blacks for Reparations in America, and our big thing it's all about land and sovereignty.
I love that. That's some good stuff. So
you know what? Now that, even I'm sorry. Even when Israel received reparations from Germany and other countries that were in the Axis powers, I believe, Axis powers, they got reparations in the form of money, resources, factories. I mean, they took the infrastructure of factories in Germany and shipped shit to Israel. I mean, we don't have to limit it to money. Or just think of it in terms of, but land if land is not a part of it, then it can't be truly said to be reparations.
Free the land.
The whole idea, like real quick, is to repair the damage. What did we lose? We lost. One of the things that we lost that's never mentioned is that we lost land. We were part of the transatlantic slave trade was the largest mass displacement of people on earth. They took us from our land indirectly by taking us from our land. So we lost land and we lost sovereignty. So those are the things that should be a priority in terms of repairing.
So at this point, let's take a little commercial break. So
okay.
Let me put this out here. For all of your trucking needs, East Coast to West Coast, North Coast to South Coast. I don't know if they call those coasts north to south, but the bottom line is whatever you need to get from one part of the nation to the other part of the nation, holla at your boy. That's Bret Trucking, one of the founding fathers of the Focus Up show and the supporters. So shout out to that brother. That's gobealive.org. Go get you some of that black honey. And let me see if I can work this. You can also get it locally. There goes Sister Nidra. And, you can get this at the Petty Vice located in Venice, California, or the Afro City Marketplace located in the Crenshaw Mall. And you know what? And there's this thing that's been going on of late. So we want to give some super shout out to this show.
You know what it is. I'm going to be back this Thursday night. Sex Talk will walk. We're going to be talking about the true definition of insecurity. And I'm tired of chicks be like, oh, you just insecure. I'm out here with my friends. You insecure. Think I'm going to just F somebody because I'm out here. You insecure. No, it's all about protection, baby. You are putting yourself in jeopardy out there. It's going to be a good one. It's going to be a doozy.
And that having been said, we got, let me see. You know what? I'm gonna just do it verbally. We're gonna shout out two of our other shows. We got Spin That Back, Saturday at 10:30 a.m. I shouldn't say every Saturday. Ain't gonna be this Saturday, but when El Poo is available, he's not, so we're not gonna have that. And then we also have mutant politics with student X right here over here. So, and we haven't worked out anything. So I don't know. I don't think we're going to be doing anything today.
No, I think, honestly, I think we should, because we're not going to even get to, what we need to get to. We might as well set the record 4 weeks straight in a row. We haven't touched on the Trump dance off, the Bret Baier interview, the Economic, Club of Chicago interview. You know what I mean? So maybe we should.
All right. Okay. So that having been said, I guess that will happen. I almost got out of it, but we're going to do it. So that having been said.
Afro, welcome to join too, as is Walk
definitely.
and the First Lady too. Let's talk about it. Let's get deeper.
That's right. Then we're going to have probably Brother Youssef on there. So, that's what's up. So, and he's been making some comments. So I apologize if I have not gotten to them. But
yeah.
No, I see all type of stuff in there. I'm gonna put this in there. I'm pretty sure this is not a very happy laughing, but that's cool. I still love my brother. So that having been said, you know what? Let's move this along. Let's talk about that town hall dance off. So, as I understand it, that there was some type of logistical problems. Maybe some people fell out. I guess the temperature was too crazy, and something was not logistically work out at the town hall, where the temperature wasn't right, and some people literally may have passed out or something, and it just kind of threw a wrench in things. And at some point, Trump wasn't even really motivated to take any questions, so he just basically ended up let's just
to our music. Let's not do any more questions. Let's just listen to music. Let's make it into our music. Who the hell wants to hear questions, right? Let me hear that music, please.
Everyone, let's thank President Trump.
Nice and loud.
God bless you.
This is a man's world. So play YMCA. Go ahead. Let's go. Nice and loud.
Here we go, everybody.
I turn that music up. Turn it up. Great song.
It goes like this, the fourth, the fifth.
Life away, drag back home and drown my troubles away.
Yo, DJ Trump in full effect. You know what I mean? Look, brilliant. Trump seems to have a similar philosophy of my own. I don't dance, I boogie. You know what I mean? But look, the reality of the event is that Trump. The mood has shifted at that particular event because, as you mentioned, Brother Nice, is that two people went down, significantly, with serious medical issues. And so in a way to add a little levity and lighten up the mood, then Trump, he made that pivot, and again, I thought it was brilliant. He definitely achieved that. He lightened up the mood, and he had some cuts playing, let's face it, what I mean? Dan Brown, it was some cuts that was playing, but meanwhile, the whack-ass Kamala campaign, mainstream media was suggesting there was some sort of cognitive decline for that decision. But you need to look no further than Trump's representation at that economic club, debate he had as example that he is sharper than ever. And you can see his energy at this event, was strong, you know what I mean? There's no cognitive decline. It was a brilliant move.
Brother Afro Agnostics, look like you had something to say about this.
Okay, I'll just say that he was literally dancing around the questions. And
wait, hold up. Continue.
But I'm saying it's an unsophisticated way of doing what Kamala did. She did the same thing, especially when she was posed with the question about, kind of putting the framework of Tupac, money for war, but no money for the poor. And can you, make all these international investments and still invest here domestically? And she said, yeah, you sure we can. Or she was put to the question around basically imperial obligations. And she said, yeah, of course we can. We can't. But anyway, she just did the same thing that Trump just literally danced because he's unsophisticated. Kamala is more sophisticated than he is, but they're both, different wings of the same bird.
Hey, First Lady J, you have some take on that dance off?
I just see a clown clowning around as always, and I have to piggyback off of Afro. He was dancing around the questions. Perfect statement right there.
Brother Watt, do you want to sign anything you want to offer on this dance off thing?
No, he didn't really have to say much. He said everything he gonna say. Pretty much it. That was having technical difficulties. I mean, it was corny, but whatever.
I mean, I'll say this. He's got a lot of personality. I mean, when I don't feel like he always has to be a negative person. When he's a positive person, he's like very charming about it. I remember I watched all his debates when he won the presidency. And I mean, he just nailed those. I mean, he was hilarious. He was funny. I mean, the speech that he gave after Hillary, I guess, conceded to him. I mean, to me, I'm not going to lie. It touched me. I thought it was a beautiful speech. I thought like, wow, he's a real person. He's saying real things. You know what I'm saying? And, I've always made the argument that I didn't have like negative things about Trump. I didn't bring those to the table. He lost me with his antics. He lost me with things that he said. He lost me with his policies. To go back to something that Charles, to the student X talked about, he says, black people are way worse and all this other stuff. Well, black people don't tell me that I shouldn't be in the country just because I kneel or don't, give praise to the American flag. Black people don't talk about, slamming my head into the top of the top of cop cars when they put me in the back seat. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying that, I respectfully disagree with that. So,
we might blow your head off, but yeah, we don't do that.
Some black people, but I'm just saying a lot of black people don't. I mean, we understand that some black people are your problem. Some black people aren't. Some white people are your problem. Some white people aren't. But I'm just telling you that Trump has made it a point to be a problem for some particular black issues. So I will go on record saying that I don't know if I want to describe him. I agree to what brother Afro-agnostic said, that how everybody's racist and all this other stuff. I would say for all intents and purposes, I really think that if you think like he does, he's going to accept you whether your skin is dark or white. So for all intents and purposes, that's not a knock that I'm going to have on him, even though his history, you can say what you want about that whole rent thing. Brother, they was putting C's on application for color. It was different. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't just, it was different. So, that having been said, I mean, we kind of addressed that. Let's go to let's talk about this brother Sinwar. Let's skip to that. Okay, so the Hamas leader, and I may be pronouncing that probably, Hamas leader Yahya Sinwar was killed. This is a person that's been, I guess, alleged to have orchestrated, the architect of what happened on, was it October 6th?
7th.
October 7th. So, so he's the person that's allegedly was the bin Laden of that whole situation. So they finally got to the number one target that they wanted. And now they're sort of like at least saying that this is a framework or possibility of going forward with some type of ceasefire. We know that may just be, talk, whatever, and stuff like this. You might have some more information on this, brother Student X, or maybe Afro-agnostics, who wants to take a stab at that?
I don't have any specific information, but Israel is a settler state. It's a criminal enterprise, and nothing that they do is legitimate to me in that area. Nothing. They have no business in that area occupying that territory. So what they call self-defense is just resistance to occupation. And that's my general. But one take on the video, which was interesting, is that Israel released the video. I don't know if y'all caught it, and to me, that was not good on their best interest, because I think it kind of makes Sinwar a martyr, which helps because if you're on the right side of history, the right side of liberation, you go support the Palestinian struggle, resistance to Israel. That state needs to dissolve. It shouldn't exist. I didn't say Jewish people need to be eliminated. I said the state of Israel needs to dissolve. And I think they made him into a martyr, which is good, because in the video he throws he only has one arm left, the other arm is blown off, he threw his sword or stick at the
drone.
At the drone. I mean, that to me, I was like, salute. That was like if you seen Braveheart when they were going to disembowel him, and he yelled out in the movie, "Freedom!" I mean, that was, to me, that made him a martyr. So I saw that thing with Sinwar in the same light.
Criticism that you have of Israel, does that apply to America as well?
So Israel is the United States in the 18th century. Through the 19th century. It's just a look into the history of the United States. And where the United States is now is where Israel hopes to go. They hope to expand. They're not stopping with the Gaza Strip and the other territories that they haven't taken yet. They're going to continue to Lebanon. They're going to dominate that area as much as they can. They gave up the Sinai Peninsula. They had it before, but that was their aim. So they're going to expand just like the United States, how it expanded. The United States started, I can't remember the date, 1781. Prior to ratifying the Constitution, they were already in the Northwest Indian War. So from day one, why? Because you can't have peace on someone else's land that you've stolen from them.
Hey, brother Student X. Oh, I'm sorry, you was about to say something, brother Walk? Student X, do you want to comment on that, or do you want to go straight to Ta-Nehisi Coates?
Well, I'm gonna comment on it, and I'll just transition just right into that. We're running out of time, but yeah, I agree with brother. The thing is that he was gonna be a martyr regardless. But the fact that there is that video, that is surfacing, then again, it just now it puts some imagery in for the people, and it's just doing nothing but inflaming the region, that is already on fire, and the thing is that you'll never beat Hamas, because Hamas is absolutely a resistance movement, and so every time you take down someone, you're actually creating more. That's why the policy on where Israel has been genocide, just to go ahead and eliminate a whole entire people. The numbers are that we're seeing in the news media of 40,000 being killed. They've been saying that that's what the number was. The numbers are closer to 200,000 individuals have been killed. Some of them are not counted because of the rubble and them being buried underneath, said rubble. But again, just going to our brother, Coates, and a book that message he wrote in the interview he did, the thing that he said, I think sums it up. My feeling towards things is, he said, there's nothing that offends me about a Jewish state. I'm offended by the idea states built on ethnocracy, no matter where they are, Muslim included. The country of Israel is a state in which half the population exists on one tier of citizenship, and everybody else that's ruled by Israelis exists on another tier, including Palestinian Israeli citizens. The only people that exist on the first tier are Israeli Jews. Why do we support that? Why? Why is that okay? I'm a child of Jim Crow. I'm the child of people that were born into a country where that was exactly the case, American apartheid. I'm against a state that discriminates against a people on the basis of ethnicity. And so, clearly, what's going on right now, in Israel and has been, for the last 40 years, definitely more resembles, colonialism, in America, or at its birth, and the thing that, that is really the closest is that it wasn't just, so-called blacks being brought over from Africa. We were already the majority of slaves were here already. We were the indigenous of North America. You see what I'm saying? So that's what really makes it, so identical is that fact. And that's one that most of your, scholars, if you will, black history scholars or whatnot, rarely even mentions or bring up, or if they even know or understand that themselves.
And right quick, but First Lady J, I know you're going to be you got some business to take care of, so you'll be stepping out. We're going to be closing this pretty soon. So if you have to go before then, sister, salute to you. Thank you for being on the show. But I'd love to hear what Brother Afro Agnostics got to say about your take about the primary. You said that most of the people that weren't brought over here, most of us were already here. Did I detect something in your eyeballs when he said that?
Oh, me. I didn't want to get. Maybe we can save it for mutant politics. But
there we go.
What's your best piece of evidence of that, though? What's your best piece of evidence?
You know what? That you're right. Let's save that for mutant politics.
Okay.
So you're gonna be down. You're gonna come back on for that.
Yes. I mean, what time? Yeah.
Awesome. It's gonna be 10:30, so we'll have a break. I have to create the show, create a meme or something like that. But yeah, we'll do that for sure.
Okay.
So we'll wrap this up then. Because hey, I just want to say that Ta-Nehisi Coates, that brother, he's a reporter, a journalist. He's done some things. He's written for the comic books, Black Panther. I have immense respect for this dude. He's dead on. I mean, he was talking about, he was over there. He was like, look, I was walking with a Palestinian, and they were like, look, you can't walk where unless you profess your faith. And he was like, look, there were places, this person was born there, and there's places that they can't go, but I can go. You know what I'm saying? It's sort of like the water fountains and stuff like that. How is this going to sit us in a right way? And the notion, the fear, the concept of saying that, well, we have all these enemies and we got to be worried about all these enemies and all this stuff. It's not an excuse. It's not a free pass for this type of system of apartheid and all of this stuff. It's Jim Crow. I'm sure that there were a lot of slave masters that are worried about slaves, overturning them and killing them and stuff like that.
That was the original rallying cry to have a national government, to have a national defense, because look at all these Indians. They were the original terrorists. Look, we're surrounded by these Indians. They're trying to kill us. The slave rebellions. It's the same thing that you see there. Of course, they're your enemies because look, before 1948, the Jewish people who were there, indigenous, and the Palestinians, it was no problem. The Arabs, they're basically the same people, but that's the difference. Okay,
Yeah.
The Jews that stayed became Islam. That's what's, and the ones that left, that's well, we can talk about it. For all the 7 years.
So I think we've thoroughly covered all of these things. So that having been said, thank you all for coming on the show. We're down a few people, but that said, we put together a real solid show. We'll save some of this for mutant politics. So we're gonna take a 30-minute break. You come back in and you'll see that and check that out. We're gonna get into a little depth on the stuff that we didn't get to.
Okay.
So that having been said, now mind you, this is gonna boot us out, but don't. Just hold up. I'll bring you back. So that having been said, like, subscribe, share. We appreciate you. You don't have to agree with us. I know that Brother Yusuf is on my head. He's on my head on Facebook. He texted me. I love it. I love it, brother. I respect you and keep doing what you do. So that having been said, thank you very much.